When I was at secondary school, I was heavily bullied for many reasons, mainly my size. I'm obviously quite a bit bigger than other people. And when I was 13, I decided it'd be a good idea to come out. And I came out as bi at first. I knew then that I wasn't bi. I knew that I was gay, but I just thought it'd soften the blow. I came out to just a couple of people at first, but news travels fast. And I was in an environment where I felt like everybody hated me. So those who bullied me kind of used it as fuel on the fire, really. Because of that, it wasn't long after that I decided to come out as gay, to my friends first. And my friends were really supportive. My friends, they didn't mind. They loved me for who I was, which is great, and they always have done and they always will. But there were still those people who decided that it was their job to make me feel like there was something wrong with me, that I was a horrible person. I decided to come out to my mum not long after I came out to my friends. It was a funny story. I was watching Ellen and she was talking about coming out herself. So I texted my best friend and I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come out to my mum. If she can do it, I can do it. And he texted back, you've got somewhere to stay. And I said, good, because, I don't know how it's going to be taken. I don't know, what's going to happen. And I went into the kitchen and she was wrapping Christmas presents. And she was just looking down at the Christmas presents. And I said, Mum, I've got something to tell you. All my friends know I'm gay. And she didn't say anything. And I kind of panicked. Automatically going through my head was what's going through her head. And I just said, Mum, did you hear me? And she looked up and looked at me and just went, is that it? And that was it. We didn't speak really of it again. She didn't mind. She loved me. So all she had to tell me was that she loved me. Back at school, things were still really difficult. I didn't really tell people that I was being bullied as much as I was. And I was. My friends knew and they were there for me, but I still carried on being the happy, bubbly Bex that everybody knows me to be. I like to crack a joke. I'm very sarcastic most of the time. That means all of the time. And I just carried on being that bubbly person, but these comments that people were making have slowly sat with me and I became very depressed very quickly. And then I went to college. And when I got to college, I thought, it's great. It's happy days. I've gone somewhere. I've got rid of all the people who were ever really horrible to me. And yeah, it was great. I made loads of new friends. There was only one time I ever really experienced homophobia, and that was when somebody I know outed me to a group of people, and half of that group of people never really spoke to me again. But the other half, they became my best friends, and they're still best friends to me now. In my second year of college, me denying how bad I'd felt in the past about the way I'd been bullied sat with me and hit me. And I became very depressed again. And I'm sorry. It became hard for me to think about carrying on. I really did feel horrible about myself, and I was made to feel that way because of what others were saying to me. But I had my best friends who loved me through everything, and I had my family, especially my mum. And my mum quickly became my best friend. She was my rock. She got me through everything. And I decided that I was going to stop self-harming, and I was going to go to uni, and I was going to make a new life for myself, somewhere different. And that's when I came to Bangor. And I moved somewhere that, although was far away from everybody I loved, was somewhere where I made a massive amount of friends and courage. And sorry, I became the person that I'd always wanted to be. And that's just the happy Bex that I pretended to be the whole time. I pretended to be happy throughout secondary school, and I had a blip at college where I couldn't be happy because I was so ill. And I got to uni and I could finally, because I'd made this friendship group, be the happy person I wanted to be.
How was it when I came out to it? I only came out to a couple of people. One of them was from North Korea, and I remember that she decided that we couldn't be friends anymore because her mother told her that it would be a bad influence on her. Other than that, though, my friends are absolutely fine with it. A lot of people that I met weren't out to their parents or friends yet, and I think they found it quite liberating once they came to university because everyone's quite open-minded. Everything was fine. A lot of the people that I met in Freshers all ended up being part of Unity. Not necessarily on the committee, but we all ended up going to Fruit Salad, which is now Identity. And it was a monthly thing, and it was really great, especially in first year. We all really enjoyed it. It was a place where we could all just go and be ourselves, have a good laugh. There was no worry that people weren't like you. Everyone knew what you were and everyone accepted you. It was really good. And then you remained friends outside of that during uni life. If you bump into each other in the street, you know it's okay to say hi. Everyone's really welcoming. Everyone's really friendly. It's lovely.
First came out to my best mate when I was 14, when we were sitting in the park randomly, and she was totally fine with it, so sort of just like left it there. Then news got around at high school before I could tell my parents that I was in a relationship with a man, and then everyone sort of found out. I had obviously the it's wrong, you shouldn't be gay, blah blah blah, but I was just like, I don't care. And I had like great friends that supported me no matter what. And then finally got around to telling my parents. My mum was fine with it and my dad was a little iffy, but it's what I expected. And then left high school, went to college. Everyone at college was accepting there, so no problems. Came to uni, again, everyone's accepted, no major issues, but it's sort of, but then you find people that you can talk to all the time, so if anything did go wrong, then it's so cool.
I came out when I was about 16. I didn't get a chance to come out to my mother because a friend that I was living with mentioned it to her whilst I was out with another friend. I told my father when we were driving down the motorway at about 80 miles an hour, which steadily increased to 100 miles an hour for about 20 minutes with no speaking. And then he kind of turned to me and said, do you want to change the song on the radio? So I did. And that was that. I mean, it was quite painless. Didn't really mention it again after that. People who are coming to university, drink lots, go out lots, meet lots of people, and be yourself, because no one really cares when you get to university, you know.
I only came out to a select few at first, and then as I sort of got more confident with more people just accepted me, I sort of told more people, and then I feel like I told like a few too many people that I should have, and then it sort of spread around the school. It was okay for a bit, and then it sort of got around out of my like group of friends to the wider like the year and also other years in my school, and I didn't get like physically assaulted or bullied and stuff, but people used to make comment, and I used to hear people like talk behind my back, and like the worst one was in lecture when in a lesson someone told me that I shouldn't be there because I was gay. So, but thankfully I had a really supportive teacher who sent them to the head teacher instead of me having to leave. I was sort of I went to the sixth form college in my school, which was good because sort of the people less accepting sort of left for college or apprenticeships and jobs and stuff like that. So when I got to sort of that level, it was a little bit easier, but there were still some people that had like a problem with it, and I could like but I just sort of stayed out of the way. And then I came to university, and that's probably one of the greatest things I've ever done in life, is come to university. The only society at first I was bothered with was Unity. So I came to a few meetings. I used to go to their socials all the time, and really it let me like put my hair down in a way that other places and other events have not been able to do.
So I had my first girlfriend when I was 15. I came out in school during a presentation about sexuality. The only one who was really shocked was my teacher. She thought I'm getting bullied, but everything I got was support. People talked to me. It was all fine. And now I'm in Bangor. I get the same support. I feel normal. I don't feel different to anyone else. I'm part of the LGBTQ+ committee. I'm responsible for publishing. I feel absolutely fine doing this. I don't feel in any way special. I'm living my life. I'm having a partner who I'm living with. And I'm just living my life.
When I was about 15, I started realising that I might be gay, and since I've been bullied for about 9 years beforehand, my confidence wasn't really that high, and I wanted to kind of suppress who I was, really, and try and be normal, in inverted commas. And I went as far as trying to get loads of girls and seeing if that could work for me, try and force me to be straight. But even though I tried so many times, it never really worked out for me. And as soon as I decided that, I considered many things, like taking to drink, smoking, and at one point suicide. And as my parents are divorced, I had to tell two separate pairs of parents. First set, my dad and my stepmum, they took it very, very well and kind of suspected already. But my mum and my stepdad took it a little bit harder. They couldn't really understand how I felt, really, because they hadn't had any experience in it. But when I went back during the winter holidays and discussed with them more about how I felt and why I felt this way, they came to understand really well, and they still love me as their son, because they don't want to lose me, really. That's what they said to me. But what coming out has done for me has made me feel better about myself, feel a lot more normal than what people used to make me feel when I was bullied. And one other thing as well is the fact, coming to this LGBT group, it's also helped me kind of face my own demons, as it were, to kind of feel like I'm part of a society, part of some group which I didn't feel like I was a part of previously. And if I was to give advice to anyone else who was in a similar position to me, try and be true to yourself. Try not to be the person who you think you should be. Be the person who you are.
I decided I was bi 2 weeks ago, something like that. It was sort of a kind of gradual thing. I was like, maybe, and then kind of I got to a point where I was like, actually yes. From now on, like, I define as bisexual. So I told my girlfriend, we got together kind of not quite on the presumption that I was straight, but like I wasn't anything like out. And I told her, and she was entirely fine with it. Like, she was the one I was most scared about, because like that's a big change for a relationship. But she was fine with it. I've told a couple of my friends, even like my conservative Christian friends, and they were more okay with it than I was expecting. Like, I was kind of expecting lots of questions and, oh, really? But what about this and what about that? But like, I was like, oh, okay, there you go. I kind of inadvertently outed myself to the Unity Committee, the LGBTQ+ society, because they're just so lovely. Like, I wasn't planning on doing it. I had a little plan. I'd tell my girlfriend, I'd tell my close friends, I'd kind of tell some other people, but that kind of went out of the window because we were in a meeting and they were just really lovely, and it came up, and like, Unity and the LGBTQ+ society are like such a warm and lovely and friendly place. Like, it just happened. But that was good. Yeah, so like, we're getting there.
I came out when I was 14 to my parents. I'd come out to my friends before that, but when I came out to my parents, it was very odd because I didn't come out because I wanted to come out. I came out because I was in a way forced to come out. My sibling is also gay, and he didn't want to come out, but he got caught wrapping a present for Valentine's Day for his boyfriend, and he told Mum that he was wrapping it as a favour to me to give to my boyfriend, and I couldn't make up a lie to my parents because I was awful at it. I tried, and they threatened to take away my laptop because it was so obviously a lie about this guy that I wasn't dating, and eventually I just had to save my laptop, which was direly important to me. I turned around and was just like, I didn't tell you because it's a girl. And then they went really quiet. They didn't ask anything about her, but I remember them getting really mad at me for not telling them sooner. And then I got banned from going to my friends' sleepovers because they were convinced that they were gangbangs at the age of 14. I remember coming out at school, and it was odd because I came out like quite early on, and I was out to the people that I wanted to be out to, but of course, news spreads, but it doesn't always spread enough. So whenever anyone else finds out that you're gay or bi in my case, they act like you've come out again, and it goes around the circle, like the entire school again, that you've come out. And it's like, but I came out a year ago. And I just remember I had t-shirts that I found amusing, just because I wasn't particularly shy. They were guy t-shirts, but they had funny things on them, like cover me in chocolate and throw me to the lesbians. And I remember going around school and people laughing at me and going like, "Oh, you do realise that's a man's shirt?" And it was like, yes, I am aware of that. And it was just silly, really. But then I came to university, and when I got here, I haven't really experienced any homophobia at all. The first social I went to was a Unity social, which is our LGBTQ plus society, and it was really welcoming and really friendly, and there was no pressure, and it was just really nice to be around people who just didn't judge you.
I've found it's really important not to hide anything, because the less you hide, the more you can do, and the more you can find about yourself. And if there's any more stuff you want to try and do, you feel the freedom to do that when you don't need to hide. So I've never hidden anything about myself, and including my relationships with men. And it's always been rewarding to see people around who have no issues at all with that. And of course, I've been through all what others have been through as well, including school, college, change from one city to another, different work settings, and it's always encouraging and nice and helpful to see that people around you have no problems with whatever it is you do, and that whatever it is you do, you don't need to hide it, and it can be open and in broad daylight.
And I'm here because I'm part of the Unity Committee, but also because I feel that it's important to tell young people exactly how life progresses and that it does actually get better. Well, I came out when I was about 18 as bisexual. Everyone at school had always assumed that I was gay and had done for a long time, but I never quite really understood exactly what that meant or exactly why I didn't quite feel that was the right label for me. And it just sort of happened. I identified as straight, and then one day this really, really cute guy with blonde hair walked past and I was sold, and so it just sort of carried on from there. I went to college, and that was absolutely great. There were a lot of really accepting people who just understood exactly what I was going through, and from there I moved to university, and there were just even more and more accepting people.
I came out when I was 19 And at the first time I came out, my family didn't really take it seriously, even though I was at an all-guys school and had been with several people. They refused to admit it. And it was quite hard there because I had a roommate from China, and in that culture they're very much against homosexuality or bisexuality. So that made things very difficult for me there. And then I finally got to university and things got a little bit better, but it wasn't quite perfect. And I ended up getting involved with somebody from Italy, and that was really kind of the impetus to fully come out and say, like, look, I've got a boyfriend from Italy. And that was even more difficult for my family to accept. So I actually had to move away for 2 months until my father got me to come back and said that if you come back, you can go stay with him at Christmas. So I came back and I went and I had a wonderful Christmas with him. The relationship didn't end up working out, but it did get better in the end.
There will always be people in life who feel like it's their job to tell you that you're not 100% right, that you're not normal, that you don't deserve to be who you are. There's always going to be those people who will walk down the street and think it's okay to say something really horrible to you. And there's always going to be those people who look down on you for who you are. But for every one of those people, there are hundreds more who are willing to accept you and who are willing to love you and who are willing to be there for you. And they will be there for you and they'll stay there for you. And it's because of people like that that it does get better. It will get better. You just have to stay around to watch it get better and to feel it get better. There was a time when I didn't think I was going to be here to see that. But I'm so happy that I am. I've never been happier. So it does get better. It really does.
It gets better.
They get so much better.
It gets better.
Ça va toujours mieux.
I spelled better.
It gets better.
Neither wella.
It gets better.
It gets better.
It gets better.
It gets better.